Hello everyone, this is Recap Revelations. Today we're entering the fascinating world of the film Crank. Warning, fresh spoilers ahead. Hold on tight, keep an eye out for the exciting adventure, and enjoy the ride. Our story begins as a person receives a vague phone call, wakes from a coma, and runs straight to activate the disc they left for him to play on the DVD player. The disc is turned on and the terrible truth is revealed. Verona, his archenemy, managed to inject him with extremely dangerous material while anesthetizing him. Once it connects to his blood cells, he will die. He reminds him that he only has an hour to live, the clock is ticking, and time is running. And explains that this is revenge for the assassination of Don Kim, and looking back everything is clear. Nice to meet you, this is Cheb Kilios, a freelance professional killer who has watched the DVD so far, digesting the powerful blow that has just landed on him as he breaks the TV receiver to pieces with anger. Running, Kilios flies from the door of the house, steals the first vehicle on his way, and moves on. One phone call to his girlfriend Eve does not come up successfully, and immediately afterward he calls Dr. Miles, who at the time is busy with hot body pleasures and a hot sexy massage. It is enough to convey a message that he will die within an hour if he does not call him. The road is foggy, visibility is even hazier, and the heart beats to the wrong place. Kilios feels about to explode, but manages to reconcile and drive forward. On one phone to his drugged friend Kylo, he condenses the whole event anew, making it clear that he was in Verona's footsteps, as he made sure to eliminate him in his own home, and started a war for life and death with him. Kilios arrives to visit his friend Orlando, threatens his life, and asks for Verona's location. Kilios continues to threaten Orlando, as reinforcements of 20 men with drawn weapons break through the room, and Orlando explains that everything is under control and calms them down. "You carried out the robbery at Anselman together," says Kilios to Orlando. The weapons are still aimed at Kilios, but Orlando does not lose the north and explains that he and Verona did not commit the robbery, and in fact Verona knocked him out and still owes him money. While he gets Orlando's version, and the men relax, Kilios has a small heart attack following the poison, and then receives a dose of cocaine in order to keep focus, he said. And in order to keep adrenaline high, he takes care to start a mass brawl with all the men on the spot and goes out to the car they light up in its wake. Verona calls Kilios to check on why he is still alive, to tease him further, and to tell him how hot he is on his girlfriend Eve, while Kilios tells him that he got into trouble with him and Carlito. Dr. Miles then calls, and Kilios tries to explain to him that he is dying. Dr. Miles tries to catch the symptoms, while Kilios crosses a crowded mall and the police follow him. "You probably got the Beijing cocktail," telling him Dr. Miles. "It is affecting the adrenal glands and blocking the receptors. He must keep moving and keep the adrenaline flow high to slow the effect of the poison. If you stop, die," Dr. Miles warns him, and Kilios says he will do his best to stay in motion. Kilios finally escapes the mall, stops a taxi, throws the passenger out, and guides the driver to the destination, while trying to keep the traffic high and dancing to the music playing in the car. Kilios makes a small stop at a convenience store to rob the store's energy drinks at gunpoint and returns to the cab, the destination, in Beverly Hills. Kilios arrives at the luxurious and corrupt villa of Carlito, his boss. He tries to figure out if there is a certain vaccine for the poison he received and is disappointed to realize that he has been injected with material that injects horses from him without return, he said. Carlito is surprised and not at all impressed by Verona's act, but more by Don Kim's assassination, after which Kilios abandons the place exasperated. The taxi driver is unwilling to accept him wet for the car, but as a solution he throws him to the floor and marks him as the target of an Al-Qaeda terrorist organization and conceivably hijacks the taxi. Dr. Miles calls and explains that he has received an adrenaline inhibitor and must obtain from a hospital epinephrine, which is artificial adrenaline. Kylo calls Kilios, telling him that he had seen Verona's brother Alex at the adjacent Prince's restaurant. Kilios, surprising Alex in the side alley, cuts his hand with a butcher knife and tries to extract information about Verona's whereabouts. A stop at his gun requires Kilios to take Alex's cannon and eliminate him with a direct shot to the head, after which a Kalo attacked by him gasps in relief. Kelios calls Verona from Alex's cell phone and informs him that his brother is history, further upsetting him by accusing Verona of murdering his brother, and mentions that he took his personal medallion as a souvenir. Kelios arrives at the pharmacy in the hospital, asks for epinephrine, encounters refusal, but receives a tip from a passerby about nasal drops containing epinephrine and will help him in his condition. He snaps some of them and moves on in the hospital. Security chases Kelios after he has changed quite a patient, and between the hospital corridors at gunpoint on the senator he receives epinephrine and also a huge electric shock that allows him to escape quickly. To keep your heart rate at bay, Kelios starts a quick run from the hospital while Dr. Miles confirms the symptoms to his dismal condition. Kelios steals a motorcycle from a police officer lightly and opens a particularly crazy ride through the streets of the city, which ends in a severe fall. Another phone wakes him to life. This is his amazing girlfriend Eve, who just woke up, gets the bitter news about him and about the possibility of an assassination in a peaceful way, and invites him to her home. Verona finds it difficult to digest his brother's loss and looks at his cut hand with a sad laugh, calling for Kelios to be captured. In Eve's apartment, the microwave clock is disappointing, and Kelios surprises at the door and says that they have to dress up and walk away quickly, and he will arrange the microwave clock. The microwave clock is not very clear, so the Belgian waffle device gets Kelios' hand as a really jarring main dish. Eve receives a suspicious phone, and Kelios rushes to defuse the phone, then distracts her and spills the entire contents of her purse while he eliminates another enemy and calmly returns to Eve to collect the things. Kelios and Eve arrive in Chinatown, and he tells the truth about his occupation as a professional assassin at a major crime organization on the West Coast. Kelios shares with Eve the fact that he has spared Don Kim's life while rolling an ingenious idea in his head and enlisting it in his favor for a period of 48 hours. Kelios explains to Eve that she is the real reason he resigned from the business, but instead of continuing with her, he will continue alone, raising her anger at wanting to part from her, and she demands to hear the truth. Kelios, trying to get a word, gets another strong heart attack, and Eve changes face, trying to figure out what's happening to him. Kelios for a moment thinks she believes in him while she denies and asks her to make love at that moment and save his life. In the middle of a busy street, in the busy Chinatown market, as all passers-by watch and cheer for the loving couple from all sides, Kelios makes a passionate love with Eve and makes sure to feel alive than ever before. The phone rings again and interrupts Eve and Kelios' intercourse. Kylo locates Verona's address at Don Kim's shirt factory, and Kelios bids farewell to Eve, boiling with rage because he fled in the middle of sex. Kelios arrives at the shirt factory in a taxi, while Verona's people watch him from above. He infiltrates the factory through the roof while throwing the security guard down. Verona is gone, but while trying to figure out details about Verona, he gets a completely different snapshot. A spokesman for the organization explains that it is Carlito who wants him to stop working in the streets. In his opinion, he lost the North, and he causes great embarrassment to the organization. The best that he will find a small corner and die quietly in it. Eve comes as a surprise as a distracting element in the elevator, and Kelios systematically eliminates the targets around him as she screams her soul. In the attempt to get out of the factory, another murderer approaches Kelios and Eve, and he hits him and puts his hand under the deadly sewing machine in order to neutralize him. Kelios and Eve sneak off and run down the emergency stairs while being shot at, and Eve says she has come to verify the truth, and immediately afterwards the corpse lands next to her, leaving no room for doubt. While trying to outrange them, Kelios tucks Eve into the car like a bun and drives away with her. Eve finally realizes that Kelios is telling the truth, and he reminds her that adrenaline is slowing down the poison. At the same time, during a dangerous gun chase, she decides to make it easier for him and give him some oral pleasure. He enjoys every moment, but she does not finish the job, so that he will not fall asleep by chance as always. Kelios annihilates his enemies at close range and moves on with Eve. Another stop of Kelios's requires knocking several nails deep into the knee to feel the leg and not lose sensation. Dr. Miles invites him to his clinic, injects him with synthetic epinephrine, and reminds him that his condition is much worse than usual and that his death is near. Kelios offers Verona a deal, vaccination for the medallion he took from his brother Alex, and in 20 minutes they will meet at the Lynette Hotel, and Verona reluctantly accepts. Kelios, with an ephedrine pump and an impressive jacket, arrives on the scene and discovers what he knew from the start: Carlito and Verona together in the business. At the Lynette Hotel pool, Carlito locates the ephedrine pump on Kelios and makes sure to remove it and keep it with him. Kelios teases Verona even more deliberately, and Verona rises very quickly and begins to boil, threatening Kelios, but Carlito reassures and says that everything is for the best. Don Kim has a bullet thanks to Kelios. Hong Kong will be guilty. Kelios, as is known, has prepared a completely different plan and is trying to convey a sharp but unclear message to the execution. Verona's security guard is shot from afar, and Don Kim with his crew members are discovered on the other side, opening fire in front of Carlito's men. Verona is shot in the finger, and a bloody battle ensues in place between the two bruises. The elimination of all the crew of Carlito and Verona by Don Kim men in live shots and grenades causes them to open the flight towards the rescue helicopter in the roof that is rushing to reach them. Kelios begins a pursuit of Verona, and in a moment of being able to snip into Verona, he loses focus because of his medical condition, which allows him to escape to the roof along with Carlito. Kelios arrives at the roof and comes to eliminate Carlito by helicopter, but gets another dose of the beloved cocktail from Verona. Verona is angry with Carlito, wiping him out in a helicopter while reminding him who the bitch is now and ordering the pilot to take off. Kelios quickly rises from the shock to the propeller sound of the rotating helicopter at the right time from a camper and leaps onto the helicopter. The helicopter is in the air and Kelios fights Verona between heaven and earth, while Verona tries to push him out and drop him down and strangles him as well, telling him that he is a dead son of a bitch. Kelios manages to pull down Verona after a few hits and breaks his neck while they are in midair. Kelios calls Eve while he lands down in the air in complete peace, explaining to her pleasant answering machine that he has let her down again, and it is a pity that he did not stop to smell the roses, but it is too late, and she was the best of them all. Kelios lands firmly on a moving car and then immediately on the road, but he blinks and his heart still beats. Crank is an exhilarating action film propelled by Jason Statham's charismatic and high-energy performance as Chef Kelios. The unique premise, requiring constant adrenaline for survival, adds an original twist to the genre. Directors Mark Neveldine and Brian Taylor inject urgency with dynamic cinematography, using handheld cameras and unconventional angles. Strong supporting performances, notably from Amy Smart, enhance the film's emotional depth amidst the relentless action. The soundtrack complements the chaos, creating a perfect synergy with the frenetic pace. From start to finish, Crank stands out in the action genre, delivering a thrilling, audacious, and visually compelling cinematic experience. If you enjoyed this recap from Recap Revelations, be sure to subscribe for a continuous stream of similar videos. Your support means the world to us, so don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks a million for tuning in.